No, we gotta do the. So we're gonna do a live, and it's gonna be about do not make things unholy. So there's a lot of things we need to cover in a very short time. I will do an oracle reading for the collective. There's so much going on, energetically speaking, and there's so much we need to learn. All right. So I'm waiting for other people to join us, and people come bounce in and out. It's interesting how people bounce. So this is not, if you're a starseed, if you're a spiritualist, if you're a twin flame on the journey, if you've gone through the dark night of the soul, this is for you. If you don't believe in reincarnation, starseed, past lives, if you don't believe in twin flame, yeah, this is not the place. You're in the wrong live. But if this is what you're into, then you might have found your tribe. All right. So I'm just waiting for people to come on, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, including energy. And I'm just waiting for people to step in and stay. Thank you, Carmel. Carmel Soul 3333. 12 Interesting. And Derek 64. Okay, so in a few minutes, when we come to another level, because here's the thing, I am not going to start talking and really talk until I get at least 9 people, only because I don't want to repeat myself. I don't care how many people we have, but I know that there are people who follow me who will jump on, and then I'll have to repeat myself. So that's not good. So I'm going to wait. But we are going to do an oracle reading. We do need to look at energy on the planet. We do need to understand as starseeds and twin flames. And sometimes starseeds are in twin flame journeys, just so you know. And hey, Letty, it's great. Letty, do you mind sharing the live if you can or if you want to? We have a men's group, by the way. Some of you guys are walking in. Some of you are men walking into this live, and that's cool because we have a men's group for twin flames, starseeds. Hi, Tony. It's great to see you. That Tony is actually going to host. And if you want to join the men's group, it's completely free to you. And it's a Zoom. And we don't record it. And it's going to be beautiful because it's you guys need to talk. Twin flames, starseeds, ascension, dark night of the soul. The men's group is going to be on Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, Mountain, Central, figure it out. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. East Coast Time. But it is good. It is a safe place. Men are committing, they're suiciding themselves to levels that we've never seen. It's intense, and it's because they can't talk to anyone. They have to be stoic. There's a revival and stoicism. Isn't that funny? And in the face of major dark night of the soul, if any of you have ever gone through the dark night of the soul, if any of you have, then you know what you went through to survive it, okay? How do you get in the group? All you have to do, my friend, is go on the Discord. On my Tony, if you want to send LT the Discord group, and also Tony, or if Rachel is here or Jen is here, if you guys could do the Discord group on this live. LT, the Discord group is also on my profile page on my link tree. You scroll all the way down, you'll see, I'll say Sacred Intimacy Discord group. Go ahead and go on it. There's a men's group. Join it. Because if you are going through this, you cannot, there's no shame in you not being able to do it alone. Men typically self-isolate and they do not have friends. Women, we have 2 or 3 girlfriends. We can rant and rave for fucking hours on the phone. And still it's hard. But men don't do that. They can't talk to their children. They can't talk to their adult children. There's no one to talk to, especially when you're going from a 3D brain to a brain that's ascending. And that is really difficult because now the guy, all your friends that you knew since you were 5th grade or high school or whatever, college, you can't, they're still your friends, don't get me wrong, but men in particular can't talk to these guys about ascension symptoms, about twin flame, runner chaser. None of them understand it. And so you need to have a new tribe. You need to actually find your tribe members, your sisters and brothers. But this men's group that Tony is going to be hosting, just so you know, there will be 4 women holding sacred space. We don't judge you. Okay, we don't give a fuck, honestly, because I've been a man in many incarnations. In fact, I've been a man in incarnations where I was a good man and I was a toxic man. And I've been a good woman and I've been a toxic woman. So it is trying to, okay. But yeah, LT, do you have any problems going on my link tree? Let me know. Or leave me a message on any of the videos and then I can send you a link. Okay, any of my videos, just put a comment, hey, what is your Discord group? And I'll send you, I'll respond with the link, okay? If all else fails. But it's right there in my profile under my link tree. And you scroll all the way down and you'll see it'll say Discord, Sacred Intimacy Discord. Okay, maybe I should just put Discord and stuff. Anyway, hi Yeseni, it's good to see you. So, any questions on that? So the men's group is going to be a part of something that we offer. We are going to also form a woman's group. Again, it's Zoom audio only. And it keeps the privacy, this, that, and the other. And not to mention, there's no point. We want to talk to each other. We're not here to compliment each other's eyes or lipstick and what we're wearing. Fuck that. That's not about that. It's about having real conversation. It's about maybe even sometimes choking back your tears, and you don't need the world to see it. Sometimes privacy is good. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so if you want to also join the women's group, which will be something else that we do. And eventually, I'm going to be blunt, okay? Eventually, we will move it to the Patreon. And if you can't afford it, just let us know. But by then, we should have your cell phone number. And if you're really, really broke and you can't afford it, then we'll send you the link so you can join. But it's an honor system, okay? Because we don't want anyone on the Discord group to come on. It could be a troll or whatever. Just because there's a Discord group doesn't mean it's completely private. Let's be real. So at some point... we'll have a Patreon, and from the Patreon, people will come on. You know what I'm saying? It'll be completely private on that level. But again, it's Zoom, and it's not recorded to ensure everyone's privacy. And every blue moon, we'll ask the group, hey, do you want to record that so we can share with each other? Because sometimes it could be a really intense topic. The last topic we had on the men's group, it was our first men's group only. I led it because we were kind of feeling our ways, and I made sure that all the men gave me the permission to lead it because, obviously it's a men's group, hello. But, and we talked about sexuality, and we talked about the pain of it. We talked about the shame of it. We talked about all kinds of stuff. And we talked about how the sacred masculine has been... is not believed. In other words, there's a problem with the wounded feminine. Even divine feminines can be wounded, okay? And all men cheat. I'm not, constantly comparing yourself as women to other women, and not realizing and not trusting in the twin flame journey and all of the components, all of the pieces that make a twin flame. And those components are millions of years old, and you can't be replaced that easily, okay? And the understanding of that. When you have a twin flame runner, whether it's a man or a woman, usually there's 3 aspects to that. One is they're addicted to something, right? Some kind of toxic, drugs, alcohol, whatever. There's that toxicity. The second one is absolute and utter self-loathing. That's the second piece that could make a person run. Okay, they act self-loathing. Eventually, she's gonna figure me. She or he's gonna figure me out. They're gonna realize how broken I am, how fucked up I am, and anyway, I can't be loved. They're better off without me. Those kinds of inner dialogues. That'll create a runner. And that can be launched from incredible sexual chemistry with a twin. Don't think that the fact that you're having fantastic, transcendental sexual intimacy with your twin isn't going to make them run. Believe it or not, it will. That's number 2. Number 3, your twin is entrenched in 3D. They actually believe in the Matrix. They actually think it's real. So those 3 components are going to have incredible influence on creating a runner, okay? And any other questions or shares so far? Anything at all? So Okay, so when you look at, say, your connection with your twin, and all kinds of things have been elicited out of each other, whether or not you've been intimate or not. Some twins actually have never been intimate, by the way. Okay, there's that group. There's the group where the only intimate moment was the kiss. Then there's the third group, which clearly they've been intimate, and they've been intimate a while or once. And no matter what, you don't have to be intimate to understand that the twin is the twin. For some of you, as you go through your spiritual awakening, you may know that it's a soul connection. You may not call it out as a twin, which is, for many of you, might be confusing. I was luckier than you guys, because when I was 18, I met my twin. I definitely didn't know it was a twin. If I had known it was a twin, I would have suffered for a fucking long time, like decades. I was lucky. I had no clue. But the amnesia on that particular truth was there in place so that I could follow my life path and get shit done. The meeting, the activation was non-sexual. It was mantras. We talked about mantras, me becoming a vegetarian, me actually running and learning how to run, how to jog, run, whatever, how to do that kind of like long distance stuff. And he gave me my first 108 mala bead bag and the malas, and so I had my first mantra. He taught me I became a vegetarian because of him, and then I was launched into the world. Okay, and from there, my life began. And then 27 years later, we first had our first union, and we're in union today. But it's been a long journey, because my journey as a spiritualist, it began when I was 3 years old, remembering my past lives and all that crap. But the point is, I needed to get things done, and I could not do it with my twin, and my twin needed to get things done, and I had soul contract with other people. So the separation was not a punishment, and it wasn't so much acknowledged that we were in separation, because clearly, technically, we didn't miss each other on that level. And then, boom, then the doors swang open in 2008, and the journey began at that point. And I was the runner, by the way, on the side note. So with that said, I just want you to understand that there are multiple aspects to why a twin flame comes into play. There's multiple aspects to why separation happens. And just because my separation lasted all these years, like decades, it doesn't mean that has to be your story. Honestly, it actually doesn't. Your story could be that you have maybe one separation and then you're done. It could be 3 separations and then you're done. So you have to not put people's own experiences as your own, because your experience has nothing to do with your trajectory in this incarnation. And some twins will never make it into union because one of the twins is hell-bent on losing. And I think you know what I mean, okay? Some twin flames do not want to wake out of the 3D matrix. They don't want to awaken. They don't want to know. They don't want to know, and they don't want to excavate their own feelings. They don't want to excavate their past lives. They don't want to understand who they are, truly are. They really want to believe that they are Joe Bob or Jill Baker. They want to believe this is it. This is all it will ever be. Hi, Mia. It's good to see you. Follow Mia. She does great content on vegan food and healing food. It is a beautiful background, isn't it? Thanks. I love it too. I use it all the time. So what else was I? So between the men's group that we're doing and the women's group that we're going to form, we're going to be able to get some things done. And the reason why we had to do it is because, first of all, I can't speak, especially on sexual intimacy between twins and the divine and masculine and feminine and the broken masculine and feminine and so forth. I can't go deep into that. And sometimes I'm sure that, what's his name, that I will be, how do I put it? There are people that don't want to hear these things. Does that make sense? There are people that don't want to hear. Thank you, Zach, for the roses. I really appreciate that. There are people that don't want to hear the truth about the sexual connection or the sexual vibration that is clearly this. It's like perfume in between you and your twin. It's like you feel it, you smell it. It's like it's got teeth, right? and you may not be in intimacy yet, but the energy, it's beyond lust. Okay, there's lust, and most of you are smart enough, grown up, and you've had a couple people under your belt as lovers, that you know the difference between lust and this. And this, yeah, that's not lust. This is beyond lust. So with that said, we have to go and excavate that. And I don't have the ability to have these really a detailed, intimate conversation on TikTok, clearly, right? Because I'm going to be banned forever. Okay, so that's why we had to we had to start these Zoom calls. We also need to do it so that you guys can be free to say, I don't want to be here anymore. And this is the dark night. I don't want to be here anymore. Or I hate my twin. I hate my twin. I don't want to be with my twin anymore. Is that normal? And the reason why I'm saying that is because on the Zoom calls, you will know that your twin's not on the call. Whereas on these lives, I've seen twins in separation literally log on one after the other. And I know who they are because one of them is my client and I know who the other person is. So it's not safe for them to, and not to mention on the Zooms, we all talk. You know, we mute ourselves and then you talk and then we take turns talking and we hear the vibration and the tone of your voice and it's much more intimate. Does that make sense? So I want to make sure, okay, that you understand why we're doing this. I'm always going to do lives on TikToks. I love TikTok. Don't get me wrong. It's not a denigration on TikTok. It's just that as people look at lives, this happened to me yesterday when I was reading excerpts of my book. And I was reading excerpts of a book called The Woman with the Alabaster Jar about Mary of Magdalene. And I was flagged twice. And thank God there was a moderator. I didn't even know there was a moderator, a TikTok moderator who said, no, go on, you're fine. And they actually had to come on because I was being flagged. Somebody had hit a button to say that I was being a bad girl when I was simply talking about the beautiful energy of Mary Magdalena and Yeshua, and I was reading an excerpt, and then I was reading an excerpt from my book Recall. It was really innocent. Believe me, I'm not stupid. I don't read erotic content on TikTok because we also have kids scrolling. Love this so much. I'm grateful you're doing that on Zoom. Yes, Laura Lee, thank you. So we're working to help people find reasons to get out of bed every day. And because a lot of people are not feeling it, okay? And it's very difficult for people to get out of bed every day. Our young people, our young starseeds that were born in the 21st century, they're in their 20s, early 20s, late teens. These kids, they don't want to be here, okay? A lot of them don't want to be here. So some of you are in your 30s, 40s, you're Gen Xers and millennials, and I need you guys to know how to talk to your people, your young people, but I also need you to be able to express your own emotions about the reality is that very, very smart, good, loving people just don't want to fucking be in this shit show, and we have to, while we're here, get stuff done. So one of the reasons why we're gathering the tribes is to make sure that we give you guys homework and assignments to rush this beautiful passion within you to go out and start doing your divine mission, okay? And you can't do that if you're sitting in your room unable to talk to your sister, your brother, your best friend, because none of them understand you. In fact, if you're honest, they never did, but you had good relationship with them, but they never understood you, and you always felt like a fish out of water. And now it's come to a crucial point, and it's because the Starseed Tribes are gathering. And so we need to make a concerted effort, a focused effort to bring you guys together, to meet each other, to exchange phone numbers. You need high vibe starseed friends. It's not a hierarchy, better, worse. It's you can't have who you've become. Maybe many of you were always like this, but now it's become just too much for you to bear it alone. You can't keep having mundane conversations with muggles. I don't know if you guys know the books Harry Potter, the muggles. Yeah, we have muggles around us, and we're not going to be able to have these conversations when you guys are magicians, right? You're high priests and priestesses. You're starseeds. And so you need new people. You need to meet your brothers and sisters, your lost tribe members. Many of them are on the other side of the veils, and they're what's the word? They're mentoring you, they're helping you, they're sending you energy, and yet many of you feel alone and bereft in your rooms. You feel completely and utterly alone, and that can't continue. I can understand how it began with the lockdowns, with the COVID, and all of those lockdowns that happened. And you got into the habit of just being within yourself because it was forced on you, and now it's become a habit, okay? And you might go into the gym and you feel completely alone. Everyone's wearing a headset. You go to a sound bath, and it's nice, but no one exchanges phone numbers to continue the vibrational conversation of silence or sharing books or whatever. It's shocking to me how people have been trained in 3 years not to connect to other people physically. It's shocking. We are pack animals. A lot of us are lone wolves, and that's fine. But even the lone wolf has to meet his tribe. He has to go back. She has to go back to his pack. It's not natural, okay? Lone wolves you can't survive in nature that long alone for 10 years. You're not going to thrive. Does that make sense? So that's what's happening, okay? And that's why we're doing it. That's why Tony, Jen, and Rachel, all of us have formulated this group. Does anybody have something to share about your journey? Thank you for sharing the live, Zale. I appreciate it. My twin flame journey almost cost me my life, yet I'm still hopeful for union. Okay. This is where I come in, Nando. All of you can hope for the union, but don't wait for union. Because if you put yourself on the bench, from life, because you're waiting for your life to begin, your mission to begin, for your twin flame to be there, then you're barking up the wrong tree, because that's not how it works. You've got it all backwards. You have to understand that you've survived whatever was going to push you to take your life. But hopeful for union, I want you to change it. I want you to consider this. I'm hopeful to be in my mission. I'm hopeful to actually walk my light. I'm hopeful to help others heal. I'm hopeful to be in service to the collective. And I hope one day that while I do this, I will be in union with my twin. That should be the last thing on your list, believe it or not. Okay? Last thing. When you're in your darkest place, to remember the good times you have with your twin to warm your heart. In times of darkness, that helps me to get through when I felt weak. Okay. I have been doing all that this whole year after I've been healing. It's okay. It's a preparation, not a separation. It's funny because I'm trying to remember the movie that you might... Nanda, Sulmare. There's a movie with Ralph Fiennes called and Angela Bassett, which you might want to get. And I'm trying to remember the movie. No, it's not the Celestine Prophecy. Hang on for a quick second. Let me see if I can find it. Bear, can you look up this movie? I think it's called Dark Days or Strange Days. It's called Strange. Is it called Strange Days with Angela Bassett? Can you look it up real quick? Is it called Strange Days?
I'm looking.
Okay. I think it's called Strange Days. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's called Strange Days. It's with Ralph Fiennes and Angela Bassett. Watch it. Okay. And the reason why you need to watch it is because you can't live on reruns. Okay. And I say this respectfully. Take it or leave it, my friend. Eat the fish and throw away the bones. But here's why. In times of darkness, this helps me get through the weak spots. When in my darkest place, to remember the good times I had. I'm just putting it into your words, with your twin to warm you. Yeah, don't do reruns. Don't do that. And I'll tell you why. Because you're looping in the past, and that's not where you want to be. And you're keeping you and your twin from being in union because you're looping the past. It's called reruns. You don't do reruns. You don't do reruns. No. What you do, and so that's why I'm telling you, watch Strange Days, because that's exactly what it's about. It's really a kick-ass movie. But yeah, I'll take that on board. Thank you. And the reason is because if you do that, you're not actually co-creating with the universe anything new. There's no future in a rerun. Is there a future in a rerun? No. So that's not the way to go. It's placebo effect, and it's not actively going to shift your separation. Everything's looping in the past instead of you actually co-creating within the future how it would be to be with your twin as if it's happening now. The way you co-create a new future with your twin is to act as if it's happening now, fantasize about what would be new, a new house, a new vacation, whatever. You know what it was like to be with them, so it's not like you have to make up a lot of shit. You just put into the future, but the future is happening in the present. So everything's happening in the present, and that's how you manifest a possible future. I said the movie was called Strange Days with Angela Bassett. So you can look that up. So if I were you, I would not worry. I would not loop it. Yeah, that's why I pause, my friends, because when I hear stuff that doesn't sound right, like I'm getting downloads from. I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm talking my guides in my head, going, yeah, that doesn't sound right. You know, thinking of the past, and that warms your heart so you can get out of bed and live your life. No, bullshit. That's not it. You don't do reruns. What you do, right? Did you get what I'm saying? You co-create from now. Right now, oh my God, I love it. I'm with my twin. I'm so excited. We made love. He is taking a shower right now. I'm so grateful. Our relationship is better than it's ever been. That's what you do. You don't do the past. Okay. I do understand. You're welcome. Yeah, I knew that was wrong. Oh my God, can I invite you? I'm inviting you, Andromeda.
Morning.
It's like, this is Andromeda Flame. She's an amazing woman. And highly evolved spiritualist, spiritual, starseed. So, yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to invite you in and to have a chat about anything you want to talk about the starseed, about the evolution of what we're going through as a planet, about anything you want. I mean, it could be anything. It could be about what's going on. As a matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to discuss, guys, and I might lose a lot of people when I say that, but you know what? You guys, we need to do better as a race of human beings. That a lot of people are turning the conflict in Gaza as if it's a holy war. It's a religious thing. It's not. It's like, so that my title to my live was, let's not make this unholy. Let's not make this an unholy conflict, because it's not a war, because it's not even. But a lot of things that are happening on the planet right now are impacting starseeds, and they're not realizing it. They're not living in reality. What affects starseeds are empathic psychics, and everything that happens, especially to the massive level of deaths that we've been feeling, are impacting starseeds. And if you're a starseed, you're probably a twin flame, and if you're a twin flame, that's messing up the whole vibration. So I'd love it if you share with us what your feeling are about this whole ascension and what's going on right now, or however you want to express it.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, because there's been quite a lot of, I don't know whether, I mean, it depends how you view these things, okay? But there've been attacks on the collectives, whether that's attacks on our consciousness through, feeling pain and suffering of fellow human beings, or whether they are spiritual attacks. There have been attacks on the collective to lower our vibrations, to prevent the ascension, to prevent unions, and just lower the vibrations as a whole of the collective. And I had a download a couple of days ago, that was transmute fear.
Mm-hmm.
We have to transmute fear. And that includes fear of opening our throat chakras. It includes fear of speaking our truth. It includes fear of speaking up against injustice.
Yeah,
This is what we're here to do.
I
This
agree.
is this is our collective mission as starseeds, as twin flames.
Yeah,
It's not just, talking about, vibrations and ascension to the 5D. It's facing reality. It's speaking out.
yeah,
It's it's recognizing where there is brutality and injustice. And if we don't do that, we are not fulfilling our mission. This is why a lot of people are stuck. A lot of
yeah.
people are stuck because they are afraid. We need to do daily chakra work. We need to open our heart chakras. We need to open our throat chakras. We need to get moving, people.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Anybody want to share what you're feeling? Because if you think that the pain you're going through is only your singular pain, you're feeling the collective pain. You're feeling the collective pain of what's going on around the world. And it's finally imploding on, I mean, it's like there's an implosion going on individually and collectively because many of us feel powerless. And that's not, we're not powerless. We're much more powerful. And that the exercise is in helping yourselves understand your powers and then eventually, call out injustices. And if you can't call out injustices, then you are missing the point of these incarnations. It's it's not enough to want to be in union. That's why sometimes I get irritated with people. I'm going to be blunt with people who are just that all they want to do is talk about twin flame, twin flame, twin flame, twin. It's an obsession. It's not good. There's twin flames is 1/5 of the pie. 1/5 of the pie. I'm finding myself crying every time I see innocent people suffering. Exactly. And that's exactly it, Letty. And I'm shocked. I'm gonna be blunt with you guys, which I'm shocked. I can't cry. I can't cry. I watch this and I can't cry because there's this white heat of anger, and it's not an anger that's lowering my frequency. Believe it or not, it's a white heat of anger at people who literally are arguing the value of polarity, which is what they're calling wars, and so on. And it's sickening. So one of the things Letty said is, I'm finding myself crying every time I see innocent people suffering. And it's Shaughnessy, I'm so tired of it all. It's been nonstop suffering and attacks on my peace and inner stability. Yeah, and it is done purposely. I'm a person that cries when angry because I can't do anything about it. I understand. I understand that. And it's a good thing you're releasing it through your tears, actually.
There's righteous anger. Righteous anger is good, and we should use that.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with what you were saying about the twin flames. I have a lot of, particularly feminines contacting me. How do I get into union? And, obsessing over their masculine. The feminines' vibration is lowered because they are obsessing over their masculine.
Exactly.
They should be thinking about mission, about their own spiritual development, and they're not. It's part of what dark energy wants. Dark energy wants us to obsess over our twins. It wants us to look only at our twins and not look at ourselves and not look at the world around us. And we've got to stop doing it because it's preventing our progress. And we've got to. I mean, I cry sometimes when I see the suffering of
Yeah.
other human beings,
Yeah.
and it's seeing other human beings suffer, but it's also a total, disgust with what other human beings can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were supposed to have learned. We were supposed to have learned from the Second World War.
Yeah.
It was supposed to have been enshrined in law after the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
And yet it is still happening over and over and over again. There have been multiple genocides in the later part of the 20th century. But this one, that what's going on at the moment in the Middle East is it is the worst humanitarian crisis of our lifetimes.
It is. It is. And people need to understand it. And if you're in a twin flame journey, then you are a highly evolved soul. And if you are not feeling this, I'm going to be very judgmental right now. And I'm sorry, I don't care. Then you're full of shit and you're not in a twin flame journey. Because when you're in a twin flame journey, you feel this shit. You are psychic, you're telepathic, you feel things, you dream things. That's why you're having a hard time talking to people about mundane bullshit. You can't handle it. Letty said, actually, I'm going to go with Sewell, and then I'll go Letty. I've felt more paralyzed moods have been so up and down. It's affecting my personal energy. That's why you have to work on all your 9 somatic chakras every day. I sent an email to my local politician and got a horrible response. And I put, Letty, I like to see it. I love and miss my twin, but my focus is on the people of Gaza. Did you guys hear that? It's almost unreal how unconnected and just plain detached from their core and essence. Sweetie, I'm seeing people from all over the world going through this and feeling the pain. I am actually proud of many of you who are in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, because I'm seeing you guys on camera fucking sobbing. And what is happening is the hypocrisy. We've had books written. We've all taken our history class in high school, in college, about the Holocaust, right? We've all done it, and we've all seen what happened in World War II. We all saw it, and there was a promise, right? And everyone's questioning, how could that happen? How could, well, dude, you're seeing it in Technicolor right in front of you. You're seeing how these politicians have decided to basically spit on us who have hired them. They're on our payroll. They're on our payroll. We pay them. They don't pay us, friends. And they are actually disrespecting every time they go against what we were asking them to do. Protesting peacefully is something that it's what Martin Luther King did, because believe me, not to get too much into politics, but you can't be in this world and not step your big toe in politics, because politics affect you. And I'm going to explain to you in a minute. We starseeds want to plant food on our gardens. We starseed want to have land. We starseeds want to be left the fuck alone, to be in our communities, to thrive, to have our children's running around and being safe, right? Well, guess what? There are certain systems in place that prevent us from catching rainwater. There are systems in place that are preventing us from having the ability to build, say, a yurt without a license that costs, and going to civil council meetings to tell them, I just want to put a yurt so my son and his wife who's pregnant can live next to me because I'm an elderly lady or whatever, right? You have to jump through hoops. You can't use your land. So it is politicians who are infringing on our rights to live our lives in the way we want to live our lives. None of us want to live in a trash heap, so we're not going to do something stupid. Most of us want to thrive and have beautiful environments. So you can't be a human in this life. I've come to realize, just so you know, and not somehow get involved politically or be aware of it. You can't go and stick your head in the sand and say, I don't want to lower my vibration, which a lot of spiritual content creators are doing. They're actually not talking about what's happening, okay? Because they're afraid of repercussion. And that's, I'm going to just say, it's cowardly. It's cowardly because if it happens to my sister or brother in Congo or the Sudan, or in this case, Gaza, then it's happening to me. It's like, I may not be Palestinian, but I now am. I consider myself a Palestinian until this debacle ends. And I think it's important for us to understand that the spiritual journey is not a hierarchy. It doesn't have, we are not the chosen one. I did a whole video on that, a whole live yesterday, and there's a video if you guys want to see it. There's no hierarchy to this. If it hurts you, it hurts me. Maybe not right away, but eventually it will decimate my peace. And when this debacle is over, many of us who spoke up can sleep at night and go, I did the best I could. I sent energy. I was meditating. I was doing that. And those who said nothing will have to live with that. And believe me, they won't sleep well. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and there's this misconception that war is natural. Mm-hmm. It's not natural. Mm-hmm. It's driven by dark forces. And I'm sorry to say, some of those people driving it are starseeds too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
They're different kinds of starseeds.
That's right. And
and they're not
Anunnakis.
all, yeah. And the draconians, for example, no, not all draconians are bad, not all zeta reticulans are bad, for example, but or not all reptilians are bad. But this is part of the challenge we're having. This is why it's a war on many dimensions. We're
Yes.
seeing the 3D manifestations of the spiritual war.
Yeah.
And it is not necessary, it is not natural, and it's not something we should or have to accept.
Yes. Absolutely. And the polarity that many spiritualists talk about is not there's polarity, as I talked about it before. Hang on, I'm sending somebody a mantra. You guys might want to look at it 100 times for 45 days. Okay? Because some of you are not having abundance, right? And I'm sending a mantra to this particular person having this issue. You may want to look at it and screenshot it. This concept of polarity, there's a lot of like money is the root of all evil. Just
Yep.
to keep everyone broke and just trying to figure out how to pay the electric bill or to buy groceries or to fix the car or to do an oil change. Just mundane things that keep you off your spiritual ascension has been done purposely for centuries. Before that, you were a serf and you had to pay your taxes, you had to pay your rent. But we've always, the 99% have been controlled by distractions. This is the first time many of us have become philosophers of our own, in our own little bedrooms or our own little offices or whatever, where you have the ability to read things that you would have never had access to 150 years ago, right? There's all kinds of fantastic powers that are at your fingertips. And so when you're consciously aware, when you're grounding yourself, because you know the power of grounding yourself, you know the power of working on your chakras, you know the power of mantras and affirmations, you know the power of manifesting. Don't just manifest for yourself. Like manifest, take a piece of your meditation practice or your manifestation practice and see the world, the new world in 5D, see the new earth. Start manifesting that as if it's happening right now. And that will benefit not just you today, but it will benefit me. You might have to come back in and incarnate here, believe it or not. Okay. Some people are coming back, some of us aren't. And right away. Okay. And it will also benefit the people you love, who will definitely need to come back if they've shut themselves down on injustice and or they're living on a 3D machine, right, in the matrix, and they actually believe everything they're told. These people are really definitely going to come back. So why don't we co-create a beautiful planet for them so that they come back to a polarity that's normal. What's a normal polarity? There's love, there's hate. There's not war. Okay, there's hate. You can hate your neighbor, but still not kill them. Okay, there's jealousy, there's greed, there's generosity, there's abundance. But abundance means sharing, and there will be some neighbors who don't want to share, but it's not going to turn into a war. And war is not, like Andromeda said, is absolutely not at all part of the polarity that we need to accept, and we can say we do not consent.
There's a beautiful essay by Oscar Wilde. And, I'm sure many of you know who Oscar Wilde was, but Oscar Wilde was an Irish writer, okay, massively intellectual, who ended up being imprisoned because he was gay. And this was in the early 20th century. And he wrote an essay called The Soul of Man Under Socialism. And in that, he, and I'm not promoting any particular political dogma here, but there are passages in this essay where he talks about human beings being emancipated and being emancipated by technology. Instead of that, what's happened is that we have been further enslaved by technology, that we are not living in a society which is allowing us to be fully human, allowing us to explore what it means to be fully human. And this is what is meant by escaping the matrix. We've all got bills to pay. We've all got, we've all got to keep a roof over our heads. But we can learn, we can read, we can meditate, we can connect with our soul family. We can find an inner abundance that they can't touch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think though that the technology that we have right now was for these moments. There were two things that needed to be shown in Technicolor. One was genocide and what it looks like hour by hour, which unfortunately the Palestinian people have been the people who have shown us hour by hour, minute by minute, what it actually looks like. And technology put that into our hands. So there's no mistake. I remember when Vietnam was happening and they were filming, and I don't know if you guys ever saw footages from Vietnam, and it was usually black and white. And they were showing that they were showing footages from that day. I guess they were, I don't know how they were doing it, but they were shipping it out or whatever because it was filmage. They would ship it out, and then at the 7 o'clock or 8 p.m. news, they would show what had happened in Vietnam in black and white. Once, I think it was, I think it might have been Nixon. Once they saw how people were against the Vietnam War, that ended. Okay. Well, okay, that was propaganda. They submerged truth. Now, what's happening today? The beauty of TikTok and is that you've got all these amazing people who are reporters in journalists in in Gaza, and you've got also all kinds of reporters also editorializing some of the footages, right? And then you've got other people like you and me reposting it. We're posting on all kinds of social media platforms, and that has shook the 1%. They are shook, and and everyone is saying, "Oh well, you may want to take a break. You may want to take a break from that." I don't know about you, but Christmas this year is going to be an honor, and I'm not doing anything for Christmas. That's not to put the guilt, because many of you have children, but I would suggest and I invite you to have a conversation with a real conversation with your children, to say it's going to be a slim Christmas, and this Christmas is going to be in consciousness and sending love to the children who aren't going to be safe while you and I are sleeping. You've got the way you teach empathy to children is you talk empathy to children. Okay, that's how you do it. And so take this opportunity to really honor Yeshua's birth. And if you're not into Yeshua, you just throw up a tree because you like the Christmas lights and all that. I don't blame you. Whatever, it's great. But then have a beautiful conversation with your children so that there's empathy and consciousness, and it's a teaching moment. Don't miss this teaching moment. Not this Christmas.
No, I mean it serves to remember what Christmas is actually about. And I agree with you. The technology we have has diminished the power of propaganda, which is fantastic. But remember what Christmas is about. Christmas is about a baby that was born into poverty in Bethlehem, who became Yeshua, who became an ascended master, who showed us love and forgiveness and non-judgment. And instead what we have now is this I call it gluttony fest, because it's people showing off materialism. It has become dark when actually it should all be about love and thinking about other people. And it's difficult with kids, isn't it? It's difficult because people, like my twin has kids, and he feels under a lot of pressure to make sure that they keep up with their peers, okay, in terms of gifts. But you teach them empathy by telling them the truth, by showing them that they are fortunate, even if they're not getting the best gifts, by showing them that other children will not have a Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's not psychologically damaging to do that. It develops them.
No, it does develop them. You can be from a really wealthy family and still be shown things by your family that gives you and grows you into an empathetic human being rather than a shitty human being. And it sometimes children are born with the empathy. It's just that's just how they are. There's a famous video that unfortunately lost its steam, but it came out about, I'd say 2000, I think it was 2003 or 2008. It was this little boy, Portuguese boy, Brazilian boy, I believe. And he's eating pasta with octopus and he's chewing on it and he spits it out or something like that. And he says, "What is this? Did it live?" And his mother says, "Yes, it lived." And he starts crying. This is like a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old toddler. Inborn empathy right off the bat. Did it live? Yes, it did. Well, why is it on my plate? And she's kind of, you can hear her, she's not laughing, but she's like kind of blown away by this kid who she's recording. I guess she was recording the first time he was going to eat something or whatever. And the table were turned because now they're having a dialogue. This little 3-year-old has more sense than the mom because now he's realizing what he's eating, what's on his plate is had a life, wanted to live. And he says, "I don't want this. It didn't want to die. I don't want to eat like this." I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but can you imagine? So some children are inherently born with empathy. You get that, right? Because she certainly didn't teach him that it was wrong to eat something that wanted to live. And this is not a vegetarian pitch. This is a pitch. It's the only example I could give you of inborn empathy, just already wired into this child, right? Didn't know shit, just boom. Is it alive? What? Yes. It's dead. It's on my plate. Started bawling like a baby. It was a baby. So it's like, but some children need your guidance. So I'm not telling you not to buy the 10 gifts you want because you get pleasure seeing the sunshine in your kid's face. I'm saying show them children. You don't have to show the brutality of the war. This is not necessary. But show them videos towards Christmas of these kids that are trying to get rainwater, that are trying to eat something, that are in line. Have you seen the children? Some of the babies are like 4 or 5 years old going in line. The lines stretch, I don't know, what, 15, 20, 30 minutes out. And the kids, and now it's the kid's turn and there's no food left. And he's got to go back with an empty pail. And another kid says, "Here, have some of mine." Have you seen? Those are the videos we need to start showing our children. If I had a grandchild right now, those are the videos I'd be, not to guilt them out, to say, could you pray for these kids? Could you send loving energy? I know you have power. You're a starseed, my baby. You're my beautiful little grandson or granddaughter. I know you have it in you. Could you send beautiful energy? And they still can enjoy Christmas. They still can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to unwrap their gifts on Christmas Day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying make sure that you use this teaching. This is a teaching opportunity, and they will never forget you for it. They will never, because you're that kind of person that would bring consciousness to their own souls.
We grow empathy, don't we? I mean, if we can't ascend the earth if we don't enhance empathy.
No.
And that is what we are here. That's why we're all here right now.
Yeah.
Right. We're all here right now to aid Earth's ascension. And that means love, it means empathy, but it also means courage. It means the courage to speak out against this stuff.
Exactly. It's my humble opinion that Christmas is a complete lie. Get to them young before they lose that connection to their empathy and compassion. Star child. Explain what Jesus might want for Jesus' birthday, because it's not their birthday, but Jesus's. Here's the thing. This is not a debate on Jesus's birthday or not Jesus. Who gives a shit? Honestly, I don't care. Most people don't have a Christmas tree because they believe in any of this. Okay, just let's be real. Anyway, you need, like, keep on track here, folks. Try to follow what it is. We're not going to deny little children Christmas, okay, until we come up with something better. What we are going to do is use it as a teaching moment. That's what we're trying to explain here. It's not a debate on whether or not it's real, on if this is really Yeshua's birthday. No one really, I think we've all gone through that. You know, us who kind of know something about many of the lies, and I'm not going to say too many words on some holy supposed, scriptures that have been badly edited centuries ago. This is not about that. It's about really going and trying to get kids to see things that are going to give them a sense of connection with kids they may never meet, to make them better stewards of this earth, as compassionate people, because I don't know what happened to the majority of these politicians, the way they were raised. Apparently were very highly educated. Many of them go to Yale, Oxford, this and that. And clearly it didn't do shit, because they're the biggest, they're the biggest losers I've ever seen, in my humble opinion. Because if that's all you're going to get out of these massive educational hallways of learning, and you're going to come out not doing a ceasefire, not doing anything you can to fight until so many people have died that it's you can't deny it anymore, and then it could impact your ability to be revoted in, and that's why you're now stepping up, like Macron finally at the last minute, finally, we need better human beings. We need to grow them from beginnings, and we need to get them into places of power, because these people, these supposed leaders, and I use the term very loosely, are a horrible excuse. They're not leaders. They're greedy, self-enterprising, all about me. What's in it for me? What can I get out of this? And they're very clever with their speeches and their promises, and they have zero empathy, zero. So that's all I have to say on that. To me,
There's
that's
a
the most
difference.
important thing.
Sorry, there's a difference between education and schooling.
Yeah,
And these people have been schooled, but
yeah.
they haven't been educated how to be decent human beings. And that's the difference. I mean, from a personal experience, I went to an elite university. Okay. And it ties into your last video about chosen ones, because on our first day at university, we were told that we were the cream of the cream. And I was looking around the room, and all of these kids were absorbing this. That's what these people are told. This is why they have the entitlement to think they can make these horrific decisions about other human beings' lives, because they've been told that they are entitled to do so. They have been told that there is a hierarchy within humanity, which there is not. But I wanted to talk about your book a little.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So I'm about 60 pages away from finishing it, and I got a
Oh,
phone call last night, which I was really cross about because I wanted to finish it. Um,
wow.
but 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 everybody, like, if you haven't got Tony's book, really, it's a page turner, but it is a study of karma. It's amazing. And one of the things, Tony, that I found really interesting is the way women were treated. Even a queen. Women are there to breed. Women are there as objects for male pleasure. Women are not able to rule. And the fact that we are in an era now where, well, an era certainly in the global north, okay, where as women we are able to self-determine.
Yeah,
We're very, very, very fortunate, but there are still women
yeah,
on the planet who are suffering this kind of mistreatment.
yeah,
Congo in particular,
yeah. That's
it's
right.
particularly bad. But yeah, seriously, everybody, if you haven't got Tony's book, it's brilliantly written. It is erotic AF, like so much so that I can't read it on the train because I get too flustered. And if you're on a twin flame journey, the connection between the twin flames in this book, it will resonate. You will feel it. You will feel your chakras responding to Tony's words. Honestly, it is one of the most important books I have ever read,
Wow.
because it details beautifully how our past lives affect what we're going through in this life, and how we have to understand that karma in order to learn the lessons so that we can progress along our spiritual journey, which goes on for millennia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, well, honestly, I'm blown away by it. It is beautiful. It's an incredible book.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. It's so the book she's talking about that I wrote, it's on my link tree if you want to get it. It's also on my TikTok shop. It's called Recall. And recall is yeah. So it should, if you're going through a twin flame journey, it might help you understand what you're going through. But the and the reason why it's erotic is because that's part of the twin flame connection. It's you know the sexuality and how sex was used in the ancient world and why it was used. And when you look at Cleopatra, if you've ever studied Cleopatra, you know that she used sexuality to get things done. You know,
Yeah.
I believe in my own twin flame, has to be honest. Okay, so anyway, anyway, I'm really glad you're, Andromeda, that makes me really, really so happy. You have no idea, because you're a brilliant woman. And so coming from you, it's a big, big compliment. I really love it. I'm glad, because when I wrote it, originally it was published by small press, and I wrote it as a fiction because I didn't think anybody would believe it anyway. And then finally I've republished it on my own, and there's a forward letter, and I've republished it to come out. I'm out of the closet. Say, yeah, this is based on my own true past life memory. And yeah, so to me, I needed to come clean, come out of the closet. So now other books I'm going to write is about healing the root chakra, healing all the chakras, of course, but healing in particular. The root chakra has always been ignored. It's still ignored today. People just really are all hell-bent on opening their third eye, and the third eye can't open. It will not open, or it might flash like it's like taking LSD or something. It'll open for a while, but then close back up, unless your chakras, your lower chakras, are in alignment. When they are in alignment and you're constantly working on all your chakras, then your third eye stays open. And then all it does is it gets bigger and bigger, able to download more and more knowledge. Does that make sense? But if you think that just working on your top chakras is going to get you where you want to go, that's not going to work. Sun says, I'm looking forward to reading. Did you get it yet, Sons? Did you buy the book, Recall? I'm just curious. I think it's a quick read, right? Because you got it a week ago, right?
It is, yeah, it is. It is a quick read, and it's really hard to put down. It's really hard to put down. Honestly, I got a call from a friend, and I was like, I don't want to answer this call. I want to keep reading. Um, but uh, but no, that's an important point, isn't it?
Yeah.
People do talk about working on a particular
Mhm.
chakra, and sometimes we do have a blockage, but it's about the energy flow.
Yeah.
Um, and it's more than just the seven chakras
Yeah.
that people talk about. There
Yeah.
are other chakras outside our body, but if we concentrate on the ones in our body, there are, there's the hara,
Yeah.
for example, there's the higher heart.
Yeah.
And these are our centers of unconditional love. This is what really gets our vibrations up.
Yeah. It's true. And it's interesting because Tim Wilde, there's something, so Andromeda, I want Andromeda is an Irish woman who lives in the UK. And I have to say something to you. There's something about the Irish and the Britain, the British. When they're spiritual, they're fucking mind blowing. I don't know what it is. There's something very mystical in these lineages that just erupt into an incredible light. And when I look at, so Tim Wilde, so my point of that is Tim Wilde, Wild, is British. And he talks about other stars, other chakras, like the Earth star, what is it? There's the Earth star. I told him I blanked because I've been freaking working all day. Trying to remember the other star. There's yeah, there's like three stars, three gates above the crown chakra.
Yeah, so it's the
And
stellar gateway, the
Sailor Gateway, yes, go ahead.
soul star, and causal.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
So he's another guy that you can actually follow who's really phenomenal. And he would have meditation Monday and what was his Friday? I forgot what his Friday was. Meditation Monday and his Friday. I don't know if you follow him, Andromeda, but he's really cool. I love his energy. But the first time I was exposed to the Hara chakra, which is at the belly button, was my twin. He actually started massaging my Hara clockwise. And that's something that he does. He does it on himself too, to move the energy. And the high heart is another gateway where you might not have blockages in the heart chakra, but then it moves up to the high heart, which can also impede the throat chakra. I've also, and I don't know if you've experienced this, Andromeda, but I've also experienced that sometimes the chakra colors that are connected, like, root chakra being red classically, sometimes I'm getting clear colors, but they have nothing to do with the classic colors you would expect, like, red, orange, and so forth, yellow, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, and sometimes it's getting our attention, isn't it? If we need to grind more, for example, in my opinion, you can't grind enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to grind every day.
absolutely,
But
absolutely.
but I think sometimes, if there's something happening in one of the chakras, particularly if you're a twin, okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because twins have it's not necessarily a shared chakra system, but it's certainly a connected chakra system. And you will feel things going on in your twins chakras, and sometimes the colors change to get our attention. That we need to channel more energy in a
Mm-hmm.
particular direction. And as feminines, we do need to work on our lower chakras. Our
Yeah.
upper chakras are naturally a bit more active. So we
Mm-hmm.
really do need to concentrate on the root, sacral, hara, and solar plexus is a big
Mm-hmm.
one. Getting rid of our doubts about our own power.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
all in the lower chakras.
Yeah, that right on. I think also for people in general, if your heart chakra is open, more, if you keep it clean. And here's the thing with star seeds and twin flames and separation and empathic people, your heart chakra is going to block up a lot. And the reason is because the shit show, the pain of maybe not being able to do your mission yet, the pain of maybe being in a job you don't like. There's all kind. So you got to constantly move that energy out. In Reiki, you'll find that sometimes, I remember when I was working on people, or when Reiki masters were working on me, they would find a lot of clogged energy in my heart chakra, and they would pull it out like you were pulling out string, pulling out stuff. You got to keep pulling it out until you no longer feel a tug, and it's clear all of that out. And once you're able to do that, then your throat chakra is going to be able to open up to speak the truth and its truth. You know what I mean? It's connected. And then once that happens and you feel safer, grounded in the root chakra, then you'll be able to get downloads through the crown chakra, right, into your third eye, and trusting it, right? Because your heart chakra is good, your root chakra is good, so you're getting downloads, you're trusting your downloads, you're discerning corrupted downloads from clear downloads, and then you can actually now use your throat chakra as a conduit to what's being downloaded. It's all interconnected, isn't it, in some aspect?
It is, and remember, there's going to be past life
Mm-hmm.
trauma as well in the chakras. This is one of the important reasons we should be working on the causal
Yeah.
chakra as well, because it stores past life
Mm-hmm.
trauma, and it enables us to kind of deal with the everyday.
Mm-hmm.
It's very connected to the Earth Star as well. The Earth Star chakra keeps us connected to Gaia, to the universe, to our community. It
Mm-hmm.
enhances our sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So these transpersonal chakras are important, but working on the 9 within the body it's a really good start. My twin, for example, he decided that he was going to block his heart chakra. He decided
Mm-hmm.
that, right? He
Mm-hmm.
didn't want
Yeah.
to feel, he didn't want to feel anymore. It was too
Mm-hmm.
complicated, okay, to
Yeah.
feel. And then he wondered why his third eye wasn't open, and he wondered
Mhm.
why
Yeah.
his abundance was blocked. And I had to explain to him that if your heart chakra is blocked,
Yeah.
or you're blocking your heart chakra, how do you expect the energy to flow? How do you
Yeah.
expect the energy to flow through all your chakras, which is what is required? It's
Right.
required for aura strength as well. Um,
Right.
all part of our energy body, our protection mechanism. If your heart is open and you're vibrating at the frequency of unconditional love,
Yes.
right, and this requires higher heart work as well, but if you're
Yeah.
vibrating at that frequency of unconditional love, you are not susceptible in the same way to attacks from dark energy. Um,
Yes.
you are resistant in a way that you didn't realize you could be before to triggers. The triggers will come, but
Yeah.
you'll just deal with them in a different, more peaceful, more blissful way.
Yeah.
And this is why twins really need to start focusing on their own energy and spiritual health and
Yeah.
hygiene. Because without it, their vibrations will not rise to that frequency of unconditional love, which is what we're here to do. Every twin that gets their vibrations up to the vibrations of gratitude and bliss and unconditional love, that will have an effect on the collective. It will have an effect on the planet.
Absolutely.
So even if you feel that you can't fulfill your mission right now, for whatever reason, and remember, you can always start working on your mission. But if you feel that that's blocked somehow, work on your chakras, get your vibrations up a little bit every day.
Absolutely. If I say, this is what I say to people: you brush your teeth every day, you work on your chakras every day. You take a shower every day, you work on your chakras every day. So it's not a joke, because you can go through pain, and you can. When I went through the dark night of the soul, believe me, I didn't want to do this. I was like, I want out. I want to go back home, right? And if it hadn't been with my meditations and working on my chakras, I'm not sure I would have survived myself, to be honest with you. Having my son in my life or not, or it was bad. This was the last and the most horrific dark night in memory. Okay. So that is what kept me from, just saying, I'm done, I'm out. And I know for a fact that it was that. If I hadn't done that, I would have been absolutely lost. And also I would call on and I still do, I've been doing this for years, calling on the angels, guides, and allies to give them permission to guide you in word and action. I do this as my eyes are so heavy I still can't open them up, but it's morning. First thing out of my consciousness is angels, guides, allies. I give you permission to guide me in word and action, and boom, I start working on my chakras. And then I still do my chakras afterwards in my meditation. So I do it twice a day, actually, which some people might think, well, that's too much. But, if in the summer, you sometimes take 2 showers, right? One in the morning, one at night, right? So to me, it's just, it's a particularly hard time right now we live in. It's very challenging. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and the other thing is to not consent.
That's right.
And be very specific about not consenting to to any like dark energy entering your energy body or your ethereal body. And if you add in any times, spaces, dimensions, or realities, because remember, all realities are happening right now, right? We're
Right.
in the moment. So withdrawing consent for that is also important, but study the archangels,
Yeah.
because the archangels all have particular duties, and particular strengths. Of course, there's Archangel Michael, who's like the boss archangel. So he always call in Archangel Michael.
Yeah.
But Raphael's the great healer, for example. Zadkiel is the archangel of transmutation. You have the twin flame archangels, Christiel and Mallory.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
and
Yeah,
the
I always call on Archangel Michael, Metatron, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. Those are my 5, my power team, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but everyone's different, You've got different, like you said, there's different, some that you will gravitate to.
Yeah, and the same with the ascended masters. There's some days that you will call in, Yeshua or Mother Mary or, Kuan Yin or Saint Germain, right? Saint Germain, Lady Portia, for example.
Yeah.
And these are all These are guides to help us, to protect us, to surround us in their bubble of protective energy while we do our work. And it's really important to call them in before we sleep,
Yeah.
because that's when we're vulnerable.
Yeah. World Travel wants you to repeat the names of the twin flame angels.
Oh yeah, so it's Archangel Christiel and his twin flame, Archangel Mallory.
Did you get that? Yeah. It's really cool. I call on Krishna, Radha,
Mm.
Mary, Mother Mary, Mary of Magdalena, Yeshua, Buddha and his consort, the Bodhisattvas, my ancestors from this life and past lives and future lives. I only wish me love, kindness, and guidance and protection. And of course, I call on the one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all.
Yeah.
So it's good to also get into the habit of saging, and especially if you're working with a lot of people's energies. Especially, I tell my nurses, my cops, my therapists, my whatever, right? People who are in the public arena where there's a lot of interesting, dense energy, for the most part. And so when you get home, it's very important for you to sage. So you kick off your shoes, you're barefoot, and you're saging below your feet, right? Between your legs, root chakra, around your armpits, around your head, the back of your back, and your buttocks and your thighs. And you say, I attract only people of light. Only people of light come to me wherever I go. Abundance of love, health, and wealth follow me wherever I go. So you're clearing out the energy and you're bringing in only high energy. Actually, typically you want to do that in the morning before you leave the house, and then reiterate that when you get home. You want to make sure that you're attracting people that either need your wisdom or are with you. Salt baths aren't going to clean your energy like sage. And I know that for a fact because salt bath is a different component. But saging a house, we don't know why it works. I'm not kidding. We don't know why it works. But I've had too many people. I've had bloody Jehovah Witnesses. I had a Jehovah Witness colleague who I said, look, you're having all these, just sage your house. Here's some sage. I gave him a stick of sage, 3-inch stick. And I said, just sage the whole house, sage the door, sage the mirrors. Sage that. And then, if I'm wrong, so what? We'll have a good laugh. And he came back to me and he said, it's been 2 days. I can't believe the change. So salt baths doesn't do it because you guys sage the environment. Does that make sense? Salt bath is good for your muscles. It's good for expansiveness. You can use the water as a conduit to expanding your mantras, expanding your manifestation and your visualization. And it's you're in a bubble, but you've got to clean the environment around you because negative energy can stick to the environment around. It can be around you, just like you can see globes. Take photos and all the energy is really high vibe, and your camera is picking up all these beautiful bubbles, which are globes. There are whole worlds in those globes. There's high energy beings in those globes that are attracted to you. Maybe a sound bath, or maybe you're meditating and they're just bubbling all around you. There's also heavy, dense energy that can stick to a house. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a great example. When I was 14 years old, we moved to Hong Kong. And Hong Kong in those days didn't have a lot of houses at all, okay? So there was this beautiful, this house was gorgeous. It had French windows. It was very much, you would have thought it was a house in 1800s, okay, in France. So it was definitely architecture from influenced by French architects. Anyway, gorgeous house. We go to the top. I'm 14, I'm psychic, and I'm like, something happened here in this attic room. And I couldn't shake the feeling. It was something really bad happened here. And my father asked the real estate agent, he said, well, what happened in that room? Because my daughter won't, the maid, just nonchalant, just nonchalant. The maid committed suicide there. She hung herself. And my father was like, yeah, no. So we got another house. We did get a house, but it was not as beautiful. It was a downgrade because he did not want to rent that house. So energy is hangs. So had that house been saged, the energy of that spirit that might still have been stuck there, by the way, or the holographic reverberation of those moments, those last moments, okay, those would have been cleared had the house been saged. Does that kind of explain why saging is important?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. One of the things my shaman uses as well is the agua.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. Tell me.
Yeah, so it's a Peruvian alcohol that's, I don't think it's not meant to be consumed. But it has
Oh,
this beautiful citrusy flavor. And before she works on me,
mm-hmm,
we put this in our hands, we clap it together and cleanse the aura
mm-hmm.
with this, back of the wrists, back of the ankles, back of the neck. And that's beautiful. And then she sages me.
Yeah, well, they do that in ayahuasca. I know, I didn't know the name, I forgot the, but what they do is some of them drink it and they spit it in the air.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does that on me.
So no, I know the bottle. I actually am visualizing the bottle right now as we speak. And they
Yeah.
use it, they use it in ayahuasca, any type of ayahuasca bufo ceremony, any ceremony dealing with plant medicine. A thorough shaman will do that and then also do the saging. And usually on the saging, they go full out. They don't play. They do copal. They do copal. You
I
know,
love
copal.
copal.
Oh,
Yeah.
so do I. Oh my God. I remember when I did copal. I mean, they did copal. The room was just, I mean, it was like a smoky room. It was incredible. And our blankets smelled like copal for weeks. I did not want to clean my blankets at all. Like,
It
I
kind of
don't,
reminds me of the ecclesiastical incense.
oh, nice. How does
Um,
it smell?
oh, it's got that same kind of sweet, like amberish, that beautiful sensual scent of copal. But I've got some copal, but it's difficult to burn. I have to say, I do I,
Wow.
I do use it sometimes, but the aqua helps it burn because of the alcohol.
That's cute. I would love to. I've never smelled that, to be honest. The last time I was really going into churches was in New York, St. Patrick's Church, was the last church, and the one before that was what you call Notre Dame in Paris.
Mm.
And those were the last, but I've never been in service where I could, you know what I mean, during an actual Catholic ceremony where I would have been able to smell that. I would love that. Makes me want to go and actually go back to. As soon as I go back, I'm gonna have to hit you up. You're gonna have to take me to a place.
Yeah.
I want to experience that.
See, if you go like Easter Vigil, they'll use the incense then. But like St. Patrick's Cathedral, oh, I love it in New York.
Mhm.
I I played in St. Patrick's Cathedral when I was 16 on an orchestra tour, and it was the acoustics in that church are just,
The one in New York.
yeah.
The acoustics are. That's why I used to go because they would practice choir, and it was on my. I can't believe you went. Yes, you're right, aren't they?
Oh, they're just otherworldly,
It is.
beautiful.
I thought it was just me. No, it is. There's something about that place. And you can light candles. And I was broke because I was going to high school and I was broke and I remember just lighting candles. I just one. I wasn't greedy, but sometimes if I had some change, I would, pay for the candle, but typically you had to pay for it. But I'd be like, they'll forgive me. I'm lighting this candle for someone I love who really needs the help. It's like I wish I could. I love that
Well,
place. It
they
was
should
beautiful.
be, they should be charity. One of the things that Catholic churches still do in Ireland is they leave their doors open for homeless people.
That's awesome.
But I believe in England they've been shut to prevent homeless people from sleeping in them.
Yeah.
But certainly in Ireland they're kept open.
See,
Um,
I love Ireland. There's something, I read the book, How the Irish Saved Civilization.
yeah,
Did you ever read that one?
yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, yeah,
Something about, it was the part about how they would meet in a circle, the men and the women, and they would decide if they would divorce or marry again. They would exchange their vows every year. And if it didn't work out, they would just say, we're done. I just love that. Do you remember that part?
yeah. And divorce was allowed even in Irish Catholicism
Oh,
until later on. Priests were allowed to marry as well.
Yeah, that's healthy.
It is healthy. But what was really healthy about Brehon society
Mm-hmm.
was that there was a hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
but right at the top of the hierarchy, the most revered people in Irish society were the poets and the harpists.
Mm.
You know, not warriors, not people who expressed through physical might, but people who expressed through beauty and art.
What century would you have said that that was still happening, where there
So,
was that kind of respect?
so that's that's the first few centuries AD, really.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
then and then was it the Catholic Church that kind of decimated that
yeah,
understanding?
it was when St. Patrick came and chased away all the snakes, as legend has it. He didn't, but when he came, that's around this seventh century, seventh, eighth century, when
Mhm.
he came and brought Catholicism, and that replaced a lot of the traditional rituals. And then it intensified with the British Empire,
Mm-hmm.
which completely suppressed Catholicism. And then Catholicism became much more dogmatic,
Mm.
because it had to be expressed in secret,
Yeah.
during the years that Ireland was under British rule, because they prevented assembly. So assembly was mass, and
Mm.
assembly were Gaelic games, right, or people meeting to talk about, the fight for freedom.
Right.
All of this was outlawed, by the British and punishable by unaliving. And then when Ireland gained independence in inverted commas,
Mm.
when there was partition, but an
Mm.
Irish Free State, Catholicism and that dogmatic Catholicism was written into the Constitution.
Yeah.
So it removed the right to divorce, for example.
Wow.
And it's only now it's only really in the past couple of decades that has changed.
I wanted to bring up, now that you bring that up, because it's a segue to this, because there was a time when there was a genocide going on against the Irish in the 1800s during the famine that was created by Queen under Queen Victoria's rule. And maybe you remember the name. I'd send you the link on that on this. I don't know if his name was Soliman, but he was an Ottoman emperor, Ottoman. How do we call that? Ottoman. Let's just call him a king. He's an Ottoman king, and he was about to send $10,000, £10,000, and Queen Victoria actually wrote him a letter saying, "Please don't do that. I've sent £1,000. £1,000. Can you imagine? It's like saying $1,000 to Gaza."
Yeah,
And he acquiesced. He acquiesced, so that she wouldn't lose face, but he sent 2,000 instead of 10. And then he sent 3 ships with supplies, medical supplies, food, water, because they were really actively genociding the Irish people during the famine. And somehow they snuck in the ships. They had to, or else it was never going to go past Queen Victoria's douanier, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be that were controlling the seas. And they were able to get those supplies. But by the time they got the supplies, 4 million Irish were gone.
yeah,
They were no longer living. So when you look at the Irish, right? Am I correct? When you look at the Irish, when you look at people like George Galloway talking about what's going on in Gaza, believe me, these are not people who are saying it because they're just empathic and empathetic and loving and generous, though they are. It's because it's in their blood, it's in their history, and they know what it looks like. And they know, and those stories have gone down through they're shared. Just like what happened in World War II was shared with families who survived these death camps. This is shared. And so what we're seeing here is we do not consent, and we have to keep pushing and pushing. But the technology that we have, the gifts of the technology that we have, has put us on notice, because what's happening, There are two forces in the spiritual world, as you have heard. There's the dark forces, the dark Anunnakis, and there's starseeds and other light bringers, the Galactic Council. And they're watching us. And unlike these other times when no one knew what was happening, unless it was happening to you, no one else really kind of knew because everything was so controlled and there was not a lot of access to any information until it was 6 months later when it was past the point. Today, the Galactic Council, the light beings on the other side are watching how many of us give a damn about people we never, ever will ever meet. And they're seeing what kind of humanity and how humane and kind and loving and selfless and outraged enough to energetically pull our resources together to do guided meditations, to meditate on our own, to manifest a world peace, and all of that. It may sound utopia to you because of the cynicism that has been inbred in us for thousands of years, but I can tell you that the light bringers and the light bearers on this side who are boots on the ground living these incarnations, which probably is you Andromeda, people like Andromeda and yourselves that are listening, but also the light bringers on the other side, they're watching to see if we're going to push against this 1% agenda, right?
Yeah. And the Irish genocide is it had a lot of the elements of every single genocide that happened before it and afterwards. There was the process of enclosure, which is a colonialist tactic of removing the people from their land, removing the people from the ability to use the natural resources of their land. They then they then impoverish them and make them dependent on a single crop, which is what happened to the Irish. So like the Irish turf cutters, for example, these men would eat a stone of potatoes a day, right, with the skins on and everything. All right. And that was the nutrition, that was their nutrition. When the blight happened, England was exporting crops from Ireland. England was exporting grain from Ireland. The grain stores were heavily guarded by British forces. Irish people who attempted to get food in other ways by maybe stealing it, I mean, like we all would, were either deported or executed.
Oh my God.
Because the families couldn't work, they couldn't pay the English and Scottish landlords the rent, and they were evicted. So there were mass evictions as well. So you had people who were made homeless, living on the land and starving. And the population of Ireland went from 8 million to 4 million. And it has never recovered.
Yeah.
And this is why in Ireland we understand imperialism. We understand that imperialism, it's not just about land and money. It is about clearing the land. Back in the 1840s, when this was happening, the British parliamentarians, they didn't have the exposure to understand that their words were going to carry through the centuries. Their words saying that they wanted to clear Ireland of the Irish.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And this is what's still happening. This is what is happening in Gaza.
That's exactly what's happening in Gaza because we're hearing politicians who are Zionists who are saying I've reposted videos that show exactly what they're saying. There's no doubt. You can't mince words. It's actually a video. It's a visual audio recording. It is there. They're saying that's what they want to do. Meanwhile, real estate is already being pre-shopped, pre-sold. So clearly that's been the agenda all along. And they're doing it with impunity. And arrogance. There's an arrogance because when there was this emergency, what was it? The UN called for, what was it? Was it 999? I forgot what it was. I think it was 99, where they went against the US and 150 countries vetoed, and 10 countries, 5 abstained, and of course 5 vetoed it, which would have been the US. But 153 countries said no. But the sad part about the UN system is that it can't actually enforce it. Did I lose you? Hang on.
I'm here.
Okay. And so that kind of impunity isn't democracy. Because if one country can go against the whole entire, like I'm talking about countries that are poor, they have barely anything themselves, and they're protesting peacefully, by the way. There's something wrong here, because a majority should win. End of story. It should just win. That's what a real democracy is all about. And the fact that many of us, many of you out here feel hamstrung and you feel powerless, and many of you are going through some depression. Some of it is your twin flame separation. Some of it is ascension symptoms. Some of it is starseed homesicknesses, or all fucking three, a perfect storm. And then you're watching on your Instagram feed and TikTok feed, because you care, because you're that kind of person. You're a loving, wonderful human being, and you're seeing this and you feel powerless. Let me tell you something. You need to. There's nothing you can do. I agree. You can't go on a plane today and help anyone. And even if you tried, there are people trying to go there and I'm not going to put you on the spot, Andromeda, but I'm going to say there are doctors and nurses trying to actually sign up to go, and they're being denied or delayed or whatever. And so what I'm going to say to you is, what you can do is energy work. What you can do is healing energy. What you can do is look at old pictures of what Palestine looked like in the 1900s, like 1920s, it was gorgeous. It was a freaking beautiful Mediterranean. It was rich with all kinds of resources, and just gorgeous. And so what you can do is see it rebuild, where people of Christian, Jewish, and Muslim faiths living together as it once did. Just because for 75 years there's been a shit show doesn't mean that it has to continue. There's enough data to show that for hundreds of years, people who were Christians, Muslims, and Jewish lived together in peace. There was peace. There was no conflict. The conflict started in 1947. So what I'm going to say to you is, I'm inviting you to use your mojo, your spiritual mojo, to visualize a new planet that includes a beautiful, where the Palestinian people are happy, they're thriving, there's equality. Because I'm going to be blunt, racism like this that we're seeing, it's not good. Even in this country, in America, racism actually harmed people who were not non-melanated. Okay, racism really hurt a lot of people. You'd be surprised how harmful it was to their very soul, to the very structure of equality and justice, because there was a dissonance to it, because you had the Jim Crow. So whenever people are brainwashed to believe that something is a law and it's just and it's suppressing other people, it harms the people who are the oppressors as well. Don't think they're the winners. They're not. Because I saw something that horrified me, where the Zionists have children writing their names on the rockets. Do you know that when those little kids grow up and realize they did that, and wake up from this false prophet type of energy of we are the, they're going to be bawling their eyes out? Not all of them, but many of these children will wake up to be 25, 35 years old, and they will not, the suffering will be unimaginable for them, knowing they signed their names on it, or knowing they were cheering with their parents when rockets were falling in Gaza. I'm not saying all of them will wake up to compassion and regret, but those who will, wow, that's all I got to say on that. So when you have oppression, the oppressor and the oppressed are being victimized by philosophy and a level of they're trying to normalize this, and like Professor Finkelstein said, mowing the lawn. And this woman who was reporting, interviewing, says, well, I don't like that term. It's a very, okay, well, but that's what they call it. They're saying mowing the lawn, which means, genociding the population. They want to, grab a couple thousand this year, and this has been going on for the sad part for many of us. Many of us, like Andromeda, many of us who knew that what was happening in Palestine, because of people like Vanessa Redgrave, because of people like George Galloway, because of people like President Carter, who said that what was happening in Gaza was worse than what the apartheid in South Africa, because of people like Anthony Bourdain doing his no reservation show and exposing what was happening through food. He did it through the back door. He was talking about cuisine, but he did throw in some editorial ideas about what was going on in Gaza and the Palestinian people. So what I'm trying to say is, use your spiritual mojo. You're listening to this for a purpose. You are powerful people. So go ahead and take 3-4 minutes and imagine how beautiful that place is. Like, co-create a new planet for all of us, of course, but also make sure that in your prayers or your meditations or visualization, manifestation, we see that part of the world, the Middle East, in absolute peace. Everyone's living together. There's no more greed. The Zionist type government is no longer there. There's a real democracy going on. There's a real brotherhood and sisterhood going on, and it is possible. Look at how many of you, 40 years ago, us doing this would have never been possible, number one. Number two, 40 years ago, most of the people awakened that you take for granted. 40 years ago, people weren't awakened to this level of numbers, okay? There are more people awakened today in this particular timeline than there's ever been in the history of humanity. I can tell you that's true, okay? So clearly, impossible miracles can become possible.
Yep. And it's for all of us to stand up now.
Yeah. So how you do it is consciously do your bit. Do whatever you can. What would you say would be a good start for, like, how would you do it? Because what do you do actually do you meditate, you visualize? What do you do, Andromeda Flame?
So praying is a good start.
Yeah.
Asking for protection, sending loving energy
Okay.
to all of those involved. You can visualize in meditation,
Yeah.
like even visualize that you are there, spreading love and sending your loving energy, your high vibrational energy to that situation. Think about how you can help on a practical level as well, whether that's sharing posts, having conversations, or using your professional expertise in whatever way you can, because all of this helps the collective soul. Also pray to Gaia, because Gaia, every time an olive tree is cut down, every time a child is unalived, every single time something like this happens, Gaia cries.
Yeah, that's true.
So pray to Gaia, and ask for her guidance and ask for her power, and send that to the people of Gaza. But on a 3D level, having the conversations, making people aware, being unafraid to stand up for humanity, because a lot of people are afraid to talk about this situation, and they're afraid because we've been so propagandized. And we see what happens to some prominent people when they do speak out. They become vilified, like Vanessa Redgrave, for example, or Bourdain, or even George Galloway, has been completely marginalized because of their support for the Palestinian people. But the Palestinian people are human beings like the rest of us, the human beings who have need for shelter, for food, for safety.
Exactly. And there was this idea that all Palestinians were Muslims, like that's wrong in the first place. But I'm going to throw it out there. But with the death of the two Christian women who had found refuge in the church, and the church was being attacked, The Pope, before that happened, the Catholic Pope in Rome, had already said it was a genocide. He called it. Okay, there's been many, many genocide, but this man finally, this particular Pope, like, called it for what it was. And then literally after he calls it, 3 weeks later, they attack these Christian Palestinian women, right? So again, there are many Christians, in particular in this country, who are Zionists, which I can't wrap my head around that. Because if you follow Yeshua, if you follow Christ, if you want to be Christian, right, which means God, which means in your Christ light, which means in your love, in your heart, how can you possibly like think this is normal and acceptable? How can you possibly look at these little babies being pulled out of the rubble, unalivened, which I hate that term. I don't know why we're being forced collectively to use pasteurized words. I'm just saying that to be put on the record. I know why we're being forced to say it, but it really pasteurizes what is happening. And there are terms that we've been because the word unalivened isn't any different with the word, K, right? There's no difference, but it's pasteurized. Be careful of words that pasteurize what is truly going on. There's various words that have been pasteurized in the last probably 3 years. But ultimately, having the conversation is going to be super, super important. We cannot be afraid, okay? I sat back. I'm going to be blunt with you. When this first began, I was sure it was going to last I didn't think it was going to last this long, like 73 days, 74 days. I thought it was going to last maybe a week. I actually thought we had a president. Can you imagine? I was wrong. Because no president in this U.S. has ever allowed, this has never happened on any other president's watch. Never. It would have never gone this long. And there are a lot of presidents I don't like that we had, but all of them would have agreed that this was way too far. So what's interesting is that as I sat back as a spiritual person who mentors people, who life coaches, spiritual life coaching, readings, blah, 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 blah. Finally, I was also expecting that content creators who have I don't have massive followings, massive followings would have stood up and said something. Silent, crickets. And then finally, on the fourth week, I was like, no, this is bullshit. Like, there's no way. I'm sorry. Fuck this. I'm in. And I didn't know, and there were a lot of content creators doing incredible things. I'd been reposting things all over the place, but then I started doing lives talking about this because I was like, if you're a spiritualist, if you're on the twin flame journey, if you're a starseed, if you're ascending, you cannot not see this, and you cannot not say nothing. And if you can't say anything because you don't know what to say, you don't know what to add to what people are saying, because there's some incredible editorials that are daily being created, daily. I mean, brilliant editorials. So don't get me wrong. I know that you might not be able to add to it, but you know what you sure in the hell can do? You can actually repost it. You can actually send it links to people who are diehard Zionists. You can actually step into lives and talk. I've gone into a couple lives. One is with Rania, who I love, and I've listened to her lives on this subject. I've listened to other lives that have me completely, what's the term, godsmacked. I'm like, I'm gutted to hear people who are ethnic, who I would expect this from other people, but not ethnic people who were born and raised in this oppression, who are actually pro-Zionist. It's blowing my mind. And so don't think that evil doesn't sit in other people. There are all kinds of evil in different forms that are here, because ultimately it's not complicated. If you saw this at the age of 12, you'd be horrified. And if a child has more, I don't know, empathy, humanity than a politician who's been educated and has a master's or PhD, they can't figure it out, but a 12-year-old can see that this is wrong, just fundamentally wrong, and they have no education whatsoever. They don't understand policies, politics, or social inequality or equality or injustice, but they just show them, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of tapes, and they would go, oh my God, why is this happening? Why isn't this stopped? See, if a 12-year-old can figure it out, there's no excuse for anyone else not to figure it out. There's nothing complicated about this. It's actually one of those few black and white situations. There are not many, but this is definitely one of them. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's there to show us actually that the cost of injustice, an injustice that has been allowed to persist for 75 years. Um, the injustice of dehumanization.
Yep.
We have allowed our governments to systematically dehumanize Palestinians, telling Palestinians that they had no right to any kind of security. They had no right to the same rights as a citizen, as Israeli citizens. They didn't have a right to vote. They don't have a right to work. They don't have a right to hold a passport. We have permitted this, and it's time to redress that balance.
Yeah.
This is very much black and white, good and evil. When we see humanity, culture, and people being destroyed, there is no nuance there.
No, it isn't. I'm an elementary teacher, and first graders can figure it out. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because that's a big. I came across, and I didn't realize this was happening, because again, I didn't go. I mean, I knew about Palestine and the inequality and all of that when I was 10 years old. Okay, in the 70s. But I'm going to tell you something. Some things came up since 2005, and the mendacity of some of these Zionists who say, well, we give them the land back. It's like, yeah. And then you shut down all the gates. You basically, so here's some of the things on their no-no list. I'm going to give you a kind of a Reader's Digest of the list. They're not allowed to have chocolate. They're not allowed to have cilantro. They're not allowed to have a wedding dress. They're not allowed to have chips. They're not allowed to have, what was the other thing? There's other things that they're not allowed. Cilantro really kicked me in the butt. I was like, cilantro. Why would they not allow cilantro? Why wouldn't they allow a wedding dress? Why wouldn't they allow chocolate? Why aren't they allowing people to have chocolate? So the other thing they don't allow, which is going to hopefully boil your blood to some level of righteousness, is they're not allowed to capture rainwater, yet their water supply is controlled by the Zionists, and they have no access to water, and they drink, you know how you're supposed to drink a certain percentage of your body weight? Yeah, they're below that, way, way, way below that. So they have these little cisterns that they've tried to put on their roofs so that they can be independent, but they're actually breaking the law to actually capture rainwater so they can survive, so they can clean themselves or what have you. They're not allowed to do any of these things. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that they've also had their calories counted. Every Palestinian man, woman, and child has a calorie allowance that is controlled by the Zionist government. Now, this is, some people refer to Gaza as an open air prison. It's not. These people didn't do anything wrong. This is an open air concentration camp where food is restricted, medical supplies are restricted, any kind of ability to express as a human is restricted. It is the most stark example of dehumanization that we have seen in the 21st century.
That's right. And people say, well, why didn't they leave? Why didn't they leave? Because they can't leave. You can't leave unless you're approved by the Zionist government. If you have to be approved. You have to have documents. You have to and some of the games that they played was go to the north, go to the south, go here, go there, and no matter where they went, missiles will following them. They've been, as a matter of fact, probably the worst thing that we saw recently was the bulldozing of a hospital with patients in there, and these patients were alive and they were bulldozed alive. Kind of like that American who was trying to stand in protest to protect a Palestinian's home. And she stood in front of, between the home of these Palestinian family and a bulldozer, and the bulldozer bulldozed her to death. So you got to realize that there has been no outrage. There has been none. And finally now we're getting to see this. And this is a crossroad moment in the history of the ascension. This is where we are being watched by light beings. This is where they're seeing if we are humane. I'm going to tell you something. Before this happened, There was a woman, there is a woman who has a good following, 16, probably 20,000 followers, kind of like me. And she has a tattoo on her chin. I think she's from New Zealand or Australia. She's she's an indigenous woman. And she's my age, as a matter of fact, thereabouts. And she was saying that she had gotten the download that the light beings have decided that they're just going to, the apocalypse is coming, say goodbye to your families, kiss them all goodbye. Just it's lights out. So in May, get your business in order and so forth. And I remember a lot of my light friends, my starseed buddies, came to me and said, watch this video. So I watched it and I went, damn, I actually follow her. And I sat in meditation for a little while and I said, no, this is a corrupted download. This is a corrupted download. And what I mean by corrupted download is there are malevolent spirits also using spiritual people, influencers as mouthpieces to their own agenda. Because see, when you tell people, like, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you have lung cancer and you go to your doctor and your doctor says you have 3 months to live. There's a study done now, finally they're doing it, where when people go for their diagnosis and a doctor says you have 3 months to live, typically the person might live to the whole for 3 months. Many don't. And then you have another set of people who will go to the doctor, they hear that, and they rebel against it, and they live to tell the tale 20 years later. But the average person doesn't. The average person is controlled by the monkey mind. So when they hear something, they believe it. The comments on her thing was, oh my God, thank you. Finally, you're telling us what I've wanted to hear. Wanted to hear that the planet's going to implode. So what I'm going to say to you is this. Be very careful of people selling you the apocalypse. Be very careful of energies. We are being watched. We are being watched by the Galactic Council. They are looking to see how many of us, and I'm hoping that there's at least 3, 4, 500 million of us who actually give a shit about what's going on in Gaza. I hope it's a higher number. Don't get me going. But I want to make sure that this is happening, because if we can't even show avatars, highlight beings that we are humane to our own brothers and sisters, then what in the hell's the point? Seriously, what's the point? So this brings me back, and I'm sorry it takes so long, but this brings me back to a Gaia.com show where Adam Apollo was being interviewed, and he was at a Burning Man event. I kid you not. And in this Burning Man, he came across some star seeds, and they were really from there were humanoid species, a particular high priestess. And he got the telepathic download from the Galactic Council that he needed to show that humanity was worthy and that it really did walk in love. And he had to go through the Pleiades to show, and he as he's walking through the Pleiades, it's still kind of dusky, it's the darkest before the dawn type of thing. So that's what was happening. So he's walking down the Pleiades, and he's trying to figure out where he's going to find to show humanity, right? To show the love, the absolute beauty of us as human beings. And he's seeing a girl getting mad and having a jealous fight with her boyfriend because he was checking out this other chick. He's looking at, he comes across another guy who's getting up from having too much wine and too much fun and a headache and kind of angry. And he's coming across really negative experiences, right? And he's like, oh shit, I can't find people who really show our humanity and how good we are as people. And finally, the sun starts breaking over the Pleiades. And the sun starts opening its beautiful ambient light of orange and red and violet tinge and gold. And people just start all across the Pleiades going, they're sighing and beauty. And he went, oh my God, yes. And he heard the Galactic Council says, you have more time. I'll never forget that interview. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Gaia.com. I'm paraphrasing the story, by the way, but it's on Gaia.com, and you can look it up. His name is Adam Apollo. And that's where we're at right now, except now it's about something happening called genocide. It's in our face, and we got to do more than just suffer in silence, okay, for other people. And many of you, some of you, not all of you, but many of you have not been able to sleep. So I know for a fact I've had starseeds text me and whatever saying, I fucking can't eat. I can't even, I can't get these people out of my mind. Like I'm suffering because some of you are incredibly empathic and empaths. Like your whole, the energy is hitting you hard. And there's no shame in that. In fact, that's part of the beauty of who you are as humans. But you've got to do better. You know, this 5G is serious right now. There is the 5G. There is the 5G. Yes, that's part of it. But really, right now, the genocide is really more important than the 5G because we need to show our humanity to each other. Because if we can't protect innocent people, then believe me, then I can't rely on anyone else but myself. And if that mindset becomes prevalent across the planet that I take care of me and my own, we're fucked. We're not winning shit. What do you think, Andromeda?
Yeah. I mean, we better believe that the Galactic Council is watching us and actually willing us to express our humanity. One of the reasons starseeds incarnate on Earth is so that we learn the range of human emotions. Humans are considered very, very highly amongst the star races because of our ability to feel. We need to express that as star seeds, particularly when we're faced with genocide, particularly when we're faced with these forces on Earth. We need to express that through love. And, you know, by all means, call on your star family for guidance. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And they will guide you. But the Galactic Council is watching us and willing us to express our humanity and our love. Because human beings are important in this universe. Human beings feel in a way that other star races don't. And this is why we're interesting to them.
I love it. Yeah.
But also, I wanted to say something about the right of return as well.
Oh, please. Yeah.
Because if, and, you know, I have nothing against, you know, Jewish people or Judaism. Judaism is as beautiful a religion as any. And, you know, the Jewish traditions can teach us a lot, as all traditions teach us a lot. But if you're Jewish from any part of the world, you have a right to return to Israel. I have a colleague whose family fled the West Bank in 1967. And he has had his request, he's been to the West Bank once. His request to go to Palestine was rejected 10 times before it was eventually granted. And he was given a visa for 3 weeks. He turns up at the border to be allowed in, and they changed the terms. He was only allowed to be there for 1 week. Palestinians have no right to return to the land that they were from. They have no right to see their cousins who are still in Palestine. And yet, if you are a Jewish person who was not born in that land, you have an automatic right to return. Now that is, it is apartheid.
Yes, it is.
And it's supremacy.
Yeah.
And it's preventing people from knowing who they are.
Yeah.
And we need to look at all of this. We need to look at the history of what's happened here. We need to look at the history from the Ottoman Empire to the British Mandate, the Balfour Declaration, what happened after the Second World War, the clearance of the Palestinian lands in 1948, and the continued atomization of Palestinian territories.
Yeah.
Gaza is the most populated area on Earth.
And that's saying something, okay? Because if you guys have ever seen Hong Kong, it's pretty densely populated, right? If you've ever seen Hong Kong, if you look at the stacked, they have, right now I'm sitting in my bathroom, okay? There are apartments the size of a bathroom. So that's saying a lot what you just said. the most densely populated place on the planet. And then they have, what are they? Bombs that have no direction. So they're just like, it's like splaying. It's like an automatic, machine gun, and you're just splaying it all over the place. That's what they're doing to this area. No wonder so many kids have died. We're at the tune of what, 10,000 children?
Yeah. 10,000 kids. Yeah, it's
And growing.
horrifying. And white phosphorus.
Yeah.
People aren't talking about the fact that there are horrifically inhumane chemical weapons being used. This is against international law. Everything that's happening is supposedly against international law, and yet you have governments like America, governments like Britain, that are standing up against this affront to international law and humanitarian conventions. And we cannot allow this to go unheard anymore.
Well, because in the end, if we've allowed them to do it with this country, with this part, with this, with these people, with these Palestinian people, then that means that they get carte blanche with us. If we ever protest in France, or if we ever protest in the US, or if we ever, they can actually use whatever the hell they want. See, this is a precedent. And this precedent cannot be accepted as normal. Because if they're allowed to think that they can get away with it, we go, well, they're just they're less than animals. I mean, I'm quoting, okay? I'm not making this shit up. I couldn't believe these people were serious, these Zionists. And you've got Zionist soldiers, IDF soldiers coming out of this, crying, going, what have you done to me? You made me do things that were completely against my nature. I can't even sleep anymore. There's a particular video of a particular soldier, a former IDF soldier, enraged, in between tears and rage, that he is so messed up. Kind of like the American guy who's yelling at, I forgot who he's yelling at. I don't even know which president, but he said, you lied about Iraq. Oh yeah, Bush, you lied about Iraq. You made me and my friends just losing his shit. I'm sure you guys have seen that. So what I'm trying to say to you is, these international laws, these humanitarian laws that are being broken on the rules of engagement, rules of war, right? There's rules of war. The fact that they're going, why are we afraid of their leaders? Why are we afraid of Bibi? Why even Trump said, I had a 5-minute meeting with Bibi and I realized he didn't want to have a deal. He didn't want to make a deal. That's also going around. So what they're allowed to do against the Geneva Convention, what they're allowed to do, they will then, and when I say they, I mean whoever is supporting the Zionist system of rules of engagement in war, they will decide that they can use whatever they want against their own, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to spell it out, because if you can't figure out what I just said, then you're not really listening. Just imagine they could turn this shit on us, okay? And the movie I want you guys to watch is Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're gonna laugh your ass off, but believe me, there's wisdom in some of these movies. Watch Running Man, because as I was watching some of these weird ass shit they were lying about, and then was debunked, and then they were lying about people and then debunking it, I thought of the movie Running Man. I'm watching Hunger Games, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? It's almost like there's tiptoeing us into this darkness, instead of us saying we do not consent and we want the new earth we've been promised. Does that make sense what I'm saying in drama? I mean, call me out.
No, it definitely does. And I mean, Hunger Games is kind of horrifying, but it's exactly what it's what's happening. It's this, imposition of fake scarcity that is designed to turn us against our brothers.
Yep. Exactly.
And I think people need to think very carefully about what they permit, because what we permit to happen to somebody else, we eventually will allow that to happen to us. This has always been one of my arguments against capital punishment, for example, that that process itself is dehumanizing for all involved.
Yeah.
And people will say, but I don't do anything wrong. And then I will give them, for example, the statistics of the number of people in American death rows who are eventually exonerated. When we permit inhumanity to someone else and we watch it and we justify it or we support it, we will eventually, maybe not in this lifetime, but we will eventually be in the other end of that inhumanity.
Absolutely, 100%. And actually, it's funny because if we support it, or if we do not find the courage to speak out against it, we can't ascend. If you can't ascend, believe me, you're coming back in 3D. There's no doubt. There's going to be a split, and a lot of people talk about it, about the split of planet Earth that's still 3D, the Matrix, the Mad Max, whatever you want to call it, and then the ascended planet of 5D, of planet Earth, where people who are on the ascension are in their hearts. So now, if you're really resenting what I'm saying, that I'm saying be good or else you'll go to heaven or hell. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's frequency, my friends. It's frequency. So if your frequency is a frequency of abundance, compassion, and love, and raising your voice against injustice, for Christ's sakes, Angel Michael is a protector, okay? And he is a defender against injustices and oppression. So, I mean, right there we have an archangel who has that consciousness, okay, clearly, right? So if you're not feeling comfortable having those conversations, I can tell you from firsthand, there are Jewish people, my friends who are Jewish, who have had these conversations with people and they have lost friendships, 34, 50-year friendships with people they never thought this would be an argument, okay? They've lost, but then again, you have to understand that this was divinely set up, because if you have friendships with people who are that dark in secret, then really do you want these people as friends? Because if the shit hits the fan, are they really going to protect you? Are they really going to be loyal? See, friendships are people you can trust who also share some of your moral values, just like your lover, just like your twin flame, whatever. So when a person doesn't share your moral values, it's a frequency mismatch. It's right.
Yeah, and they're silencing rabbis within Israel. They're silencing young people within Israel who are Jewish and who are speaking out against this genocide. You are not allowed to speak out against this genocide in Israel. And you've got what are they called? Is it Jews for Peace? The American organization. A lot of them deeply, deeply religious people who see it as their role to speak out against genocide. And these people are being marginalized by the Zionists. This is nothing to do with religion. These things are never anything to do with religion. They're all to do with power and alliances and preserving the position of the 1%. That's what it's all about, what it's always been all about.
That's right. Anyway, anything else, anything that you want to share, Andromeda, before we wrap it? I think it's 1 o'clock in the morning on my end. I'm tired.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's 7 minutes to 9 a.m. in the UK.
You're awesome.
But look, we've all just got to do our part, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. You know, don't feel bad if you feel that your part is small. It's a collective effort. You know, if it's praying, if it's meditating, if it's having the conversations, if that's all that you are able to do, that is enough.
It's better than nothing. That's right.
And be proud that you are doing it.
That's right.
We all want to be able to do more.
Of course.
Every single one of us, every empath on earth wants to be able to do more. But even if you're playing what you perceive to be a small part, it is not small in the wider collective when we're all doing it.
Exactly. It isn't. And I'm going to do some more guided meditations. And the guided meditation it starts with, first of all, it's about working on our chakras. This is what I usually do. And then we go into visualizing, the new earth. And then we start pulsing this incredible healing light into for the Palestinian people. Those who have dropped their bodies violently and abruptly, to help make sure they cross over with as much ease as possible, because that's some traumatic endings. Some of them are twin flames, okay? Twin flames in separation, twin flames in other words, twin flames are all over the world, my friends. And some of these people were twin flames in separation, and they never got to tell their twin flame, maybe in Norway, maybe in America, maybe, we don't know, right? I love you. You're the love of my life. I now see you. It's too late now because they were abruptly pulled out of their bodies. So when you look at this energy, in pulsing this energy, when I do these guided meditations with groups right there on Zoom, I'm not on Zoom, excuse me, on TikTok, we then send all this healing energy to Gaza, and we send the healing energy to the oppressors and the oppressed, because this needs to end immediately. And there could be a magical shift where people wake up enough to push back those oppressors who can't and refuse to stand in light. They'd much rather be in their darkness, and they are removed from power. Removed from power, meaning voted out, removed, whatever. You're out. You're fired. Here's your plink slip. You're out. You fucked up, okay? You're not leading us anymore. And what's interesting I'm just going to say this, on the unaliving of these three Israeli hostages, speaking Hebrew, okay, saying, help me, right? When you have guns, right, you can kind of from far away go, tell me your name, tell me. They had all kinds of times to figure out who was who, but because of the Hannibal directive that they have in place, which is an insult to Hannibal Barca, who was a hell of a soldier and who had a ragtime of multiracial soldiers, okay, people loved him. So it's kind of like really kind of a spit in his eye. By the way, he had one eye. To call it a Hannibal directive, because it's not a directive. Let me explain to you what Hannibal directive is, because you guys need to understand it. Hannibal Barca was a general in the Punic Wars. He was a Semite, which means Semitic people are a race of people that are Arab, but originally half black, half white, Semitic, okay? And then it turned into its own, right? Semitic. Anyway, they were Carthaginian warriors. They were also known as Phoenicians. And he was a hella of, they still study what he did in battle, because he held Rome under his clutches for 12 years. He was a winner. But anyway, when the senators in Carthage were jealous of him, jealous of his family, and they decided not to send him aid. So he lost his brother Hasdrubal in a battle. I'm paraphrasing shit. And at the age of 60, he took poison so he would not be captured, because he was about to get turned in. Okay? So he unalived himself, okay? Because he did not want to be, and if you've ever studied Rome, you did not want to be captured by the Romans. Believe me, okay? If you've ever watched anything or studied anything on the ancient Romans and how they would treat anyone, that's why Cleopatra unalived herself, okay? Everyone knew that in the ancient world. Do not get caught by the Romans. It will not be a pretty ending. It will last, they would keep you alive for years, okay, So anyway, the Hannibal directive is a bastardization of this man who honorably decided to take his life, okay, this great general who was loved. All right, their directive, what it means is that it doesn't matter who you are as a hostage, they will not negotiate, and they may even unalive you rather than help you. That's the directive. That's the bastardization of the ancient general's end, okay? And the fact that they call it Hannibal and put that together like that is like an insult to that family, whose name, by the way, I share, Barca, Hannibal Barca, just in case you guys were paying attention. So the point is, that particular truth is why those three Israeli hostages were unalivened, because it's not fucking funny, because many of the people who live there know that once you're hostage, your life you'll be lucky if you survive. The little girl with her dog that got out looking like she might have lost 5 pounds, but not much else happened to her, and her dog didn't look like it lost any weight either. Okay, that's not what happens with them. Okay, that's not what happens with them. They're very Roman in the way they treat their people. Okay, and that's why Cleopatra did what she did. Okay, there was no way in hell she was going to get captured by Octavius. So I'm sorry, I needed to say that because here I was trying to wrap it up. Your thoughts, Andromeda?
Yeah, the Hannibal Directive is dangerous, and you see a lot of people talking about Israel's right to defend itself, and that all of this is about releasing the hostages. They're not interested in releasing the hostages. They're not interested in hostage release at all. If they were interested, there would be ways around it, but you don't have to carpet BOMB a civilian population in order to do that. It's a lie.
That's right.
It's nothing better than a lie. It's being used as a cover. These people, they're being used as a cover for genocide.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And I feel sorry for the hostages because it's the ones that were released were very blessed. They're lucky as hell. I can't believe how lucky. But moving forward, all the hostages that were released from the Zionist hold came out looking unbelievable. I reposted a video where there's a young man who was taken in. I forgot his name, but you can see I've reposted it if you want to see it. And, nice young man, normal weight, looking good, healthy young man, not overweight, nothing like that, in shape. And they have him under their care. And I use the word care very loosely. And 3 months later, he's released, and he must weigh 100 pounds. He's dehydrated. He hasn't been fed. His eyes look like he's gone through massive trauma. Looks like he's been tortured. Looks like he's been psychologically, emotionally, physically, SAA, whatever the hell. They did it all. They threw everything they had on him. Look at him. He looks like he weighs 100 pounds. And he looks like he's 5'7" or 5'8". And that had me crying. Because it took 90 days. I'm sorry. Did you see that, Andromeda, by the way?
I did, and reports have come out that these men who are interned, right? There's no charge, there's no trial. They're just lifted and imprisoned. They're being fed 1 potato a day.
Oh, that's a joke. Isn't that interesting? 1 potato a day. That reminds me of Ireland again. Here we go again.
Yeah, starving people into ill health, weakness, and
no water, so the kidneys start shutting down. So then they release them right on the edge of death, so that there's nothing they can do because there's no medical supply. There you go, bingo.
Yeah, there's no medical aid getting through to Gaza. The horrifying prospect of limbs being amputated without anaesthetic. I mean, just imagine the trauma that individual, if they survive the operation, just imagine the trauma that they will go through, that the surgeon will go through, for want of modern medicine, which could so easily be allowed through. Withholding medical aid, again, it's against international law.
And I'm ashamed. I'm going to say my father served in World War II. He had a Purple Heart, a Silver Star. He was injured in World War II. He was one of the tank commanders that went to Dachau, Dachau, right? The concentration camps, okay? He was one of these soldiers that came and helped the people that have been, that were barely, some of them that actually died within hours of being released from their captors, right? The Nazis. And I'm ashamed of being an American, half American. I'm ashamed. And there's so many Americans saying, I'm ashamed, not in my name, with my tax dollars, $17 billion going to that part of the world, 17 billion, while they're getting their nails done and getting their hair done, and they're having rave parties, and McDonald's is giving them food, and it's sickening, because meanwhile, our country right here has we have over 1 million people homeless. And I think I'm understating the number, because I've never seen homelessness like this in my entire incarnated state. Never have I seen this. We have people who are crying in their cars going, I work as a nurse, I work as a nurse, my husband works, we just spent $250 on groceries, it's supposed to last us 2 weeks, and we have no money left. In other words, the cost of living is insane. I saw a woman who saw a man in New York buy 2 deodorants, a toothpaste, a cereal box, a milk, and something else, and it came out to $54, something like that. She went to Paris. She went to Prix Unique, which is a store, okay, a grocery store, Prix Unique or something like that, and in Paris, okay, so Paris is very, very expensive. And she got the same things he bought, meaning the same, deodorant, the toothpaste, the whole, right, the cereal, the milk, blah, blah, came out to $24. And that's Paris. So we're being punished. I feel like we're being punished. Because if you remember, I don't know how old you are, but there was a time when you could actually get $80 would get you 8 bags of groceries. 8 bags, that means 2 weeks of food. You were solid. You were eating like a king. Today, $80 gets you, you're lucky if you have a bag. You're lucky if it's a bag and a half, and you'll be back in a few days or what have you. There's something wrong here. Meanwhile, 17 billion. And then they're talking about us being in deficit. Deficit, well, how about deficit? Why are you sending money if we're in deficit? Why don't we put the money here? There's something disjointed, and we need to get more politically aware. We need to start talking about politics. And when I first came to this country from France, I remember in France, in Italy, in England, I've lived in all those countries, in Spain, talking about politics, art, social injustice, any sculpture, fashion. It is a muscle everyone uses. Everyone talks about politics. Everyone talks about what I've just said. When I first came to this country, I remember being shocked that I was constantly being told in my teens and 20s, because I was very politically aware, that it was unpolite to talk about religion and politics. That muscle has so been atrophied in the American consciousness that now we're going to have to reclaim it. And that's it. And you can agree to disagree with civility. There's no need for fist fights and just losing your shit at the dinner table. If you are dealing with people who don't know how to deal with civil discussion and civil solutions, then maybe they're not your friends. See, a lot of us as starseeds we're being asked by the universe to clean house. Get rid of these freaking low density, myopic people. You don't need them. You need to clean your closet of fake friends you've had since 5th grade who don't understand you spiritually. There's nothing in common anymore, okay? You're having mundane conversation, and it's become a habit to just have Joe Blow in your life. Get rid of Joe Blow and look for your starseed brothers and sisters and start bringing in some new, beautiful, fresh air into your life. If you like Joe Blow, because Joe Blow is nice and he's a sweet guy, he's just a pro-Zionist, but you love him, or he doesn't believe in reincarnation, he's really hardcore on whatever religious practice he has, or he's an atheist, but he's a good guy, he's fundamentally good, okay, I get it. But if he's dragging your energy, she are dragging your energies down, where you're second-guessing yourself and gaslighting yourself, and it's exhausting your energy, then maybe you need to take a break. And you're better off being alone, honestly, than having draining energy. And as you get alone and as you process everything that is new to you about your new conscious awakening, believe me, you're going to meet, like I have a Discord where I really push people to exchange phone numbers so they can connect with each other and develop beautiful, meaningful friendships with starseed like-minded people. Does that make sense? That's really important for you to have the courage to do that, because you can't many of you are dimming your lights to make other people comfortable. And right now we're being shown that 2023 has been a really I can say it's been the most traumatic year of my existence, okay? And that's saying something, because I've had 2 deaths in 3 years, okay? So believe me, when I say that, I'm not kidding. 2024 is going to be a major crossroad year for a lot of us. And we need to ask ourselves what we want individually, what we want for our families, what we want for our daily bread, what we want for the planet, and how we are going to stop any level of injustice explained away by spiritualists as, well, we all need wars. Wars always been, we'll always have wars. Other planets have had wars. Wars is a polarity. It's part of the human experience. It's part of the yin and yang. Yeah, that's toxic spirituality, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and it's dark actually. You know, accepting it is dark. If we're asked to accept injustice and pain, we will not ascend. And that's what 2024 is going to be all about. It's going to be all about ascending, all about shedding that, that dead wood. One of the biggest clues that you are a starseed is that you find small talk almost nauseatingly frustrating. You don't want to engage with it. If you don't want to engage in small talk, that probably means you're a starseed.
I agree.
because it's mundane, and it drags you down, and it drags you into 3D, and it drags you into all of this BS that people see as so important. Keeping up with there's a phrase in the UK, I don't know if you have it in the US, but keeping up with the Joneses. All right, all about this outward expression of material abundance in inverted commas. That's not abundance. Abundance is being surrounded by your soul tribe. It's being surrounded by people who stimulate you, who push you to grow, which is really what the twin flame journey is all about. It's all about growth. And from one day to the next, ask yourself, what am I learning? What am I learning from this person? What am I learning from this situation? Is this serving my growth?
Yeah.
Or is this keeping me stuck in that mundane, low vibrational matrix way of thinking?
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you so much. I got to wrap it up only because I got to go to bed. I love you. You're the best. You're such an amazing, you're just an amazing woman, an amazing spirit. Such a light in the world. Thank God for you. Bloody hell. Thank God for people like you, because there's 41 of you here, and I want to thank you. Thank God for all of you. I hope you understand how beautiful you are, and how important you are to the matrix collapse and to this new earth, right? So I want to thank you, Andromeda Flame. Follow Andromeda Flame. She's got beautiful content on the Twin Flame Journey. Gorgeous soul, beautiful light. Thank you both. She is amazing. You both are. Thank you, sons. I appreciate it. And thank you for buying the book, Recall. I can't wait to hear what you think. I hope you like it as well. And then Andromeda, you say goodbye, and then I'll switch off.
Tony, thank you. You're such an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Sending you all much love on your journeys. And follow us on the Discord. We're going to do Zooms, men's club, a men's sacred circle club. We're going to also set up a woman's circle on Zoom. And we've already started the men's club. So if you're a man and you're a starseed, you're on the twin flame journey, you're in separation, you're having ascension syndromes, you feel alone, you feel misunderstood, my link is there. You can go right on my link and on my profile link and scroll all the way down to Discord, join, introduce yourself, and we'll put you in. Our next men's group is going to be this Sunday coming at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Anyway, thank you, sons. Thank you all. Sending you much love. Namaste. Be well.